Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Willis. Fulton County is Atlanta. Has made it clear that the 16 Trump lying Christians who were willing to lie, cheat, and steal for this miserable fucker, Donald Trump, and say that the voters of the state of Georgia had no business giving all their votes or the majority of their votes to Joe Biden. These son of a bitches who were willing to go to Washington, D.C. and commit perjury, they are now, all 16 of them, thanks to Fannie Willis, they are a target of her investigation. Thank you, District Attorney Willis. Thank you. Fannie Willis, District Attorney of Fulton County, just elected, I think, in 2020. Excuse me. She and her prosecutors have informed the 16 Trump Christians who formed this lying alternate slate of 2020 presidential electors from Georgia. Knowing, see, this is why I rail against these fuckers. These Christians knew they were lying. They knew what had happened in this state. We had how many recounts? 3, including one by hand. These Christian terrorists knew they were subscribing to and aiding and abetting a lie to deny a couple of million Georgians their vote. So these Christian devils put together an alternate slate of presidential electors from Georgia. And prosecutors have let every one of these dirty bastards know that now they could face charges in an ongoing criminal investigation into what they did. And what this does, this letter, or whatever, however they got in touch, the prosecutors got in touch with these devils, it underscores the risk of criminal charges that this filthy pig subhuman Trump and the scum that support him could be facing here in the state of Georgia. Now, all this was revealed in legal filings yesterday here in the state. And the filings showed that while much attention has been focused on the hearings in D.C. by the Select Committee, Representative Benny Thompson's investigation, and the extent to which the Justice Department may or may not investigate, given all the evidence that Thompson's committee is bringing up for everybody to see. But regardless of that, it's a local prosecutor here in Atlanta who has the power right now to put this filthy son of a bitch Donald Trump and his circle of scum-sucking Christian terrorists in the most immediate legal peril. Norman Eisen, who served as special counsel to the House Judiciary Committee during the first Trump impeachment trial, he said, quote, "This is a sign of a dramatic acceleration of her work." Her being Fannie Willis. He added that prosecutors typically work their way, quote, "up the food chain, so usually the first wave of target letters is not the last," end quote. No, it's not. And these 16 rotten son of a bitches here in Georgia, and I think all of them are, I believe, I may be wrong, I think they were all elected officials in the Georgia House of Representatives or maybe the Georgia Senate. Whether they are or not is immaterial. What is material is the fact that they now have their wee-wees caught in the ringer. They were willing to participate in a filthy fraud against the people of this country, this state, this city, this county, and now they're caught. There's a special grand jury that was impaneled here in Fulton County, and it's looking into a whole bunch of potential issues, including the creation of that slate of pro-Trump liar, nasty-ass Christian terrorists in the weeks after the election. And the whole thing was an attempt to negate Biden's victory here in Georgia. And Miss Willis, the district attorney, is going to get testimony. She's going to get it, one way or the other, from a number of the filthy pig Trump's lawyers and allies, including Rudy the Bat Giuliani, who has emerged as a central figure in the case here, Senator Lindsey Graham-Cracker of South Carolina. And by the way, his lawyers agreed yesterday to have their objections against testifying heard in a court in Georgia instead of a court in South Carolina or Washington. Well, you rotten son of a bitch, the crime occurred here. Now, it's my understanding also, I heard on NPR this morning that Graham-Cracker has tentatively agreed to appear before the grand jury. I wonder if that's true. Now, some legal observers have argued that Trump's actions put him at risk of being indicted on charges of violating these simple, straightforward Georgia criminal statutes, including criminal solicitation to commit election fraud, which is what the recorded phone call of this rotten fucker Trump calling the Georgia Secretary of State, asking him to participate in election fraud. Jesus Christ. Remember when Trump pressured Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, quote, to find 11,780 votes, end quote. Just enough to reverse the results of the election here in Georgia. And the Brookings Institution did a 114-page analysis of this case. And it was co-authored by Mr. Eisen, the special counsel in the House Judiciary Committee during the first Trump impeachment. And this analysis found Trump, quote, at substantial risk of possible state charges predicated on multiple crimes, end quote. A substantial risk of possible state charges? No, I'm sorry. Far be it from me to argue with the Brookings Institution or the astute authors of this report, 114-page report, but it's not a substantial risk of possible state charges. The fucker broke the law. Everybody in this country who has heard the tape of him breaking the law knows that the rotten bastard Donald Trump broke the law. Now, Miss Willis, the DA here in Fulton County, in other court filings, because she's not talking about this, but she's indicated that a number of other charges are being considered, including racketeering and conspiracy. You're goddamn right. Which, if those charges are brought, it will take in a whole bunch of these Trump bastards, both inside and outside Georgia. And Ms. Willis is also weighing whether to subpoena Trump himself and get his testimony. Now, this is not, this is a goddamn county district attorney. Trump can do all the fucking machinations he wants about separation of powers. Not here, asshole. These are state charges brought by a county district attorney, and your fucking ass, Donald Trump, will answer. So, got a little loud there, didn't I? So, D.A. Willis is trying to decide whether to subpoena Trump and get testimony from that rat bastard. That's according to a person familiar with the inquiry. Like I said, Ms. Willis doesn't talk about this stuff. Because she's a district attorney, she follows the rules, and she will make goddamn good and sure that anybody in her jurisdiction does likewise. And recently, Ms. Willis has made it clear she wants the testimony of 7 of Trump's allies and advisors before this special grand jury. And the thing is, my understanding, that if they refuse a subpoena here, they can be fucking jailed. And they won't wait for Merrick Garland to make a decision. The DA here will issue arrest warrants for these fuckers, and the warrants will be good anywhere in the United States. So, back to 11 of the 16 electors that have been notified you may be a target of this investigation. Well, their lawyers for 11 of them have gotten their bloomers in a wad at the designation of their clients as targets. They said that the local prosecutor, Fani Willis, had no jurisdiction to determine which federal electors were fake and which were real. The lawyers accused Ms. Willis of, quote, misusing the grand jury process to harass, embarrass, and attempt to intimidate the nominee electors, not to investigate their conduct. Well, you crazy son of a bitches. You 2 attorneys, Holly Pearson and Kimberly Burroughs DeBrow, 2 women attorneys here in Georgia, are saying, no, Miss Willis, you're misusing the grand jury process just to embarrass our beloved clients who did nothing more than try to rip to pieces the government of the United States. Now, Miss Willis's office did not immediately comment, for public consumption anyway, about what these 2 Christian terrorist attorneys have said about their clients, but she has said that, quote, anything that is relevant to attempts to interfere with the Georgia election will be subject to review, end quote. Anything that is relevant to attempts to interfere with the Georgia election. So you 2 attorneys, you better tell your clients to get ready to face criminal charges, maybe even conspiracy, maybe even racketeering. Now, as you know, Biden won Georgia and all 16 of the electoral votes. But after the election, some of the Orange Vomit's filthy pigs who were advising him came up with this plan to create alternate electors in swing states like Georgia. It wasn't just here. Falsely claiming that, there was widespread fraud and that disrupted the election in all these swing states. Now, to be fair, a lot of the Orange Vomit's White House advisors rejected the idea, and they viewed it and tried to tell the Orange Vomit pig son of a bitch that it was dangerous to try that and illegal. That's according to testimony that we've heard in the House hearings before Benny Thompson's committee. Now, 2 of these Georgia pigs who decided to be Trump electors have already been identified as targets by Ms. Willis's investigation. David Schaefer, and this pig chairs the Georgia State Republican Party, the fascist terrorist party. And Burt Jones, a Georgia state lawmaker who is running for lieutenant governor, a Christian terrorist lying son of a bitch who's running for lieutenant governor. Now, the lawyers for 11 of these electors, including Mr. Schaefer, they're accusing Fani Willis, the DA, of politicizing the investigation And the lawyers are saying, quote, many of the nominee electors are prominent figures in the Georgia GOP. End quote. No shit. That's all the more reason to indict, try, convict, and jail these fuckers. They were given authority. They were elected to office. They were put in his head of the Christian terrorist party in this country. And they violated that trust. And they broke the law knowing they were breaking the law. Lock the fuckers up. Now, among these electors, Mark Amick, who serves on the board of the Georgia Republican Foundation. That's a group of the terrorist Christian party's large donors. Vicky Consiglio, the party's assistant treasurer. Sean Still, who won a primary for a state Senate seat earlier this year. Brad Carver, an Atlanta lawyer. Kay Godwin, a co-founder of a group called Georgia Conservatives in Action. Bitch, you're going to be in action in prison someday, I hope. Listen to these names and positions of these scum. Christians all. There's not a goddamn member of any other religion involved here except the Christian terrorist religion. And these people walk around talking about God's will and the Ten Commandments and the baby Jesus. You hypocritical son of a bitches, you. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.